All right, we are here, ISE 2023, Barcelona, with Aurora and the legend. Paul, please introduce yourself, tell everyone who you are, and a little bit about the company.
So I'm Paul Harris, CEO of Aurora Multimedia, and this is our 25th anniversary, so a special year for us. So there'll be a lot of treats involved throughout the entire year. You'll have to wait for some of those, but enjoying ISE. We went a little bit larger on our booth this year, and we got some new toys to show everybody.
No, it's great. So 25 years, 25 years. So a lot of people know, all right, listen to this. Am I wrong to say the last 12 months has been kind of your breakout? All of a sudden, people are going, "Oh, we're doing this," especially in higher ed. Higher ed point of view, all our colleagues are going, "We know there's some big boys, but we're going into these other." And now you're a brand name. So talk about how that happened. Talk about the company, how you kind of rolled on, and what your future looks like.
Well, what happened is, unfortunately, when COVID started, as a company, you have to choose. Are you going to just wait for something to happen, or are you going to do something about it? So the first thing we did was we developed that temperature tablet, if you remember.
Mm-hmm.
And we were first to market with it, and it blew up. And I'm proud to say we didn't lay anybody off. We hired more people. We took a lot of the monies that we made from it. We reinvested back into the company, developed new technologies, which a lot of them you're seeing here, because we knew it wasn't going to last forever. And we needed to keep pressing. So yeah, we actually excelled because we just accelerated what we were doing rather than just waiting for something. So what then happened is the supply issue kicked in.
Mm-hmm.
And once again, you're going to sit back and wait for it to happen, or you're going to do something about it. In our case, we did something about it. We started buying up a year's worth of parts. We do manufacture a lot of our own products in our own assembly line in our building, so that gives us a very unique advantage. We also looked at what parts were going to be hard to get and then to immediately design around it. And we started doing that as well. So very proactive, not reactive. And then we kept building new products with chips and products that we knew we could get our hands on. And then looking at where was the industry going with the way we behave now in the workplace.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of the new products are based around the way the world's changed. And so we readapted is what we did.
Yeah, so let's talk about that. We know the world's changed. We know that you were the first out there to say AV over IP is the future. You came out. It's not that it's the future, it's now the standard. A lot of people are looking for knowing that they have to network base their AV. What is the differentiator for Aurora and that makes this the thing that people need to look at?
Well, part of it really is a combination of things. One, it's the size of the box, the power consumption of the box, the capability of the box, and the image quality, because you can't just have a cool box and not have a good quality image. We can do the 4K 6444 at a near perfect image quality where you could do those high detailed images and you will see all the detail. It's really hard to tell when you put a 10 gig next to it. It's really hard to tell the difference unless you put the test patterns up.
Mm-hmm.
Now, nothing's going to be 10 gig. 10 gig is 10 gig, but you got to write application for everything. That's for broadcast, medical, people who need that type of detail and that lower latency. But for the typical everyday use with the conference rooms, education, things like that, 1 gig is more than adequate, and you don't have to focus. I mean, on our products, Cat 5e unshielded will go 390 feet.
Oh, dang.
Cat 6 will go 490 feet. Cat 6a unshielded will go about 600 feet. And then we have fiber capabilities. And then we do other things that people can't do. So for the preview, 720p, 30 frames for a preview. Most people are doing those little tiny tiles, if at all. No, 720p. We could do picture-in-picture and EPGs on our screen as well.
Wow.
Image rotation, video walls. So we get a lot of bang for the buck. Floating mice when you're doing KVM. USB 2.0 cameras, so we can put the camera into it and send that back to the other end. So you're getting a great value, but with very high performance. We've had, proud to say, we've had a lot of other integrators and variety of them give us a shootout. And I love shootouts.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, because you know what? If you're going to develop something, game on. And if you didn't do it right, go back to the drawing board. You got to make it better. That's the great thing about technology is may the best person win. And I'm pleased to say a lot of them tested us against just about everybody in this industry, and we came out on top.
See, and this is the thing. Like we look at it in higher ed, we do things in scale. We do things that we have to trust. We have to know that it's going to last. We know that we have to be able to support it easily because we're not just one or two rooms. We're 200 rooms, right? And now when you have something like your product, what I've heard from those who who come in and go, look, we need to put something, tickets go down. Like once we did this in enterprise, like, yeah, I don't get ticket calls anymore. I don't do it. What is the secret sauce?
Well, part of it is keeping the circuitry simplistic. We don't have a lot of parts to make it do what it does. Very streamlined, actually. So I know some of our competitors, they talk about how many parts they have inside the box. Okay, great. Why? You know, more parts, more things to fail. More power consumption, higher heat. More things to potentially fail. Keep things running cooler, they last longer. Lower mean time between failure, less components to have to buy. The other thing that we did, which is another industry first, is we use an ASIC inside our products, which are easier for us to get. But we also put in a soft version of Dante, so we don't need to rely on getting the Dante chips to make Dante work on our product. It's just a license key. So that means that's one less problem we have. So we do have Dante. Got to look at the camera and say that. So it's not a problem for us in that respect. So yeah, we evolved it to that, and then we made wall plate variations. You'll see a lot of people can't do a 2-gang, and it's a transceiver as well. So we do 2-gang wall plates as well. So you can't just do one thing. You got to accommodate everything. And if you also look at the way we did it, because everything's a transceiver, we really only have 2 products that does everything. And if you look at a lot of our competitors out there, they have like 11 different boxes to do what our 2 boxes do. That's a lot of different variations to support, to keep in stock, to hope you have it.
And that's the secret. If I have something that goes, if I have an issue, I need to be able to swap it out, get it installed. I've got rooms that if I 1 day's worth of class, I mean, this is what people go. Well, when I used to have an area, oh, your room is down for a day. Do you know how much tuition runs through a room in a day? That's not just like saying I'm going to take my meeting down to another room. Like that's literally shutting down the reason we exist. So to have something like that, and the way you guys think about simplicity, the word that comes to my mind is sustainability, right? And that to me, not just saying we're going to get rid of all the parts, but now with less power consumption, put that on scale. I've just saved my university money. I've saved,
Yeah, people don't look at that. You know, they don't realize that, if you have a box that's like over 20 watts and you have like, let's say 500 of those boxes on your network, do the math versus a box that's under 8 watts.
Exactly.
The power adds up when those things are running 24/7 behind the scenes. So yeah, in the long run, you are saving money and the system's paying itself back because of the low power consumption. The other thing that we've been doing, which is a big difference, is our education. So we hired Chuck.
You just jumped my next question. So you got Chuck and Marcus, education.
Yes.
That's important. So talk a little bit about that, training, education, how that's going to look.
So education is just as important as making the product. You have to be able to teach people how to use the product, how to support it, to understand the product. It's not that the products are hard to use, but when you've never used the product, you got to just find out where are those things hidden. Just like if you take an Android versus an iPhone, they basically do the same thing, but you get to certain things in a little bit of a different way. But at the end of the day, they achieve the same objective. So part of that is education. The other thing that we do too is basic troubleshooting. You would be amazed. We just made a document and a video on it's a quick checklist of the things that people don't do when they're setting up a system that would save them a lot of trouble. For example, did you do the EDIT and learning? Did you balance out the system to make sure that if this screen's doing 4K and that one's doing 1080, that one's got to be on a scaler to downscale, so that way when a 4K comes in, it can actually receive it.
Yep.
Other little things, like this is another gotcha, by the way. This is a good clue out there. HDCP. I've seen a lot of jobs where they want to keep their old projector in the school. Still got HDCP 1.4, but now they plug into an Apple. It's got HDCP 2.2. Plug it into the encoder. Encoder says, okay, 2.2. Sends it out to your new screen. It gets it. Sends it out to your old projector. Nothing. Why? Old projector doesn't do 2.2. Now what do you do about it? Honestly, you got to get a new projector. It sounds crazy. You always think that, oh, it's interoperable, it's HDMI. No, it doesn't work like that. it's not as future-proof as you think it is. So in this particular case, sometimes you got to replace equipment if you want to keep it as a whole, or you set up the encoder to limit it to 1.4. But if you do that, guess what you're not doing? 4K 60.
Yeah.
Because the licensing key could potentially tell you not going to happen. So we have a video coming out and a checklist that gives those like key things. And the cool thing about the checklist is it's not just about our product. This is the way it is. So it's a great useful list for any product that's out there, whether it's HD based T or 10 gig or 1 gig. The rules are the rules of the game.
Mm-hmm. I love that. I love that. So moving to the products, we are at a trade show. Can you show us them? We're gonna do a little walk of the booth. Let's see kind of what you're doing, what you're showing, what's making the difference. I see when you have celebrities, all they want to do is shake hands. So where do we start? Show us a little bit of what's going on here.
So these are our latest generation of touch panels. Now the interesting thing about our control systems is the interfaces are also brains. So whereas a lot of companies will make a separate brain that you have to talk to and then have a separate panel, you don't have to do that with ours. Although we do have separate brains with different port counts or expansion boxes, these in itself are brains, and on the back of them, they have control ports on them. So 2 serial, 2 IR, 2 relays, 2 IOs. So you get a lot of value for the money. Also, aside from the light ring, these are aluminum bezels. So if you want to match it to decor for like the larger installs, we can make them in custom colors like bronze, gold, silver. So we can match them to decors if needed. So we have a 10-inch that's about to hit. We have the 8-inch and a nice cute little 4-inch with also a light ring in it. You could do room booking with these. You could use it as a night light, whatever you want to do. So that's an example with desktop panels. And these are control systems. So with the software, which is free, you can create anything you want. And the interesting thing about our control systems is they're based on standards. So we're using HTML5 for the interface and JavaScript using a Node.js core for it. So that means we run on Linux, Android, Windows. We could port this into anything we want. So that's one of the reasons why we don't run out of control systems either. It's the way the technology is written. So we have 8-inch desktop, we have button panels. In other words, we have everything that you need to accommodate any type of control system. Just a lot less SKUs, but a lot more function and a lot of power. So this is a new product, by the way. Ignore the name, sorry. Having a little fun. But hey, it goes inside. It goes inside.
Hey, life is supposed to be fun. We're at ISC.
We're obviously children at our company. Somebody took me a little too literally when I said had fun with the name. They did. And actually it works into education because how many times have you had some kid throw one of these on the absentee list? So anyway, this is our latest 4-inch touch panel. Now I know everybody goes, okay, that's a 4-inch touch panel. No, this is a beam-forming Dante microphone that could do 360 or localized field.
Wait, what?
So, yep, exactly. That's what everybody says. So we have actually patents pending on this. So the reason why we're showing it finally is we submitted all our patents for it. Wanted to make sure we well protected the technology inside of this because it's a very unique product. So it has Bluetooth in it, NFC, an LED on the front and the back as well, as you can see. PoE. I can link up a Bluetooth to it. I can connect it to my ear and then use it to go back through the unified communication to the other end. I can use a beamforming microphone. It's got a proximity sensor on it, so if I'm not in front of it, it can auto-mute it. I can use it for voting if I wanted to and create voting questions that it will store and you can pull off. So it's actually changing the typology of the way we've been doing touch panels. So you put one per location, and now you can make it interactive with the room. I could raise my hand. If I press raise my hand, you can have it where an LED blinks on it, for example. See how like the LED's blinking in the back? So now you don't have to say, ooh, ooh, ooh. It will now blink a light, and the person knows to go.
When are we looking for that shipping?
June.
June.
And we're also looking at a wireless version, too, that will have inductive charging. So that'll be coming out soon, too.
So that's one of the things that we kind of skipped in our pre-section is you're actually shipping all this stuff.
Yes.
And a lot of companies can't say that.
It's a big marketing thing. So we came with this brilliant marketing campaign called It's Shipping. So it took a lot of thought. We spent hundreds of thousands of dollars on marketing geniuses to come up with It's Shipping. So this is what we were talking about earlier. This is the VPX. So this is the box. No fans on it. Nice and small. They're rack mountable. You can blade them. So we don't make different versions like one of the reasons why you get a lot of SKU counts from other companies is because they'll make one for their proprietary cage. Then they'll make a Dante version, a USB version, a fiber version, of this version, of that version. You tell it whether it's an encoder or a decoder. It's got the fiber or the copper. It's got the USB on it. It's got 2 HDMI inputs on it. It's got an HDMI out on it. You got the audio, the control. So it's got everything that you need right in it. And that's it. One SKU for the box is all we need. We did create a second SKU for pricing, where this is just the LT version, where it's limited to 4K 30 444, and it's got one HDMI in, and we just restrict some of the cooler extras in it. But for people who don't need all the bells and whistles or the higher bandwidth, to create that price point is what we did. This is the new transceiver wall plate that's about to come out. So it's got one HDMI in, a USB-C that will take the video and the data, along with 2 datas and an HDMI out. And you can tell us to be an encoder or a decoder. You can do it by sending it a command through a control system where you press and hold the button for 5 seconds and boom, it changes the direction. A lot of people don't realize the value of a transceiver wall plate. So like, for example, let's say I have a wall plate in the front of the room and the back of the room. I might want a confidence monitor in the back so I don't have to give my presentation and look behind me all the time. So I tell it to become a decoder in the back of the room. I then take a rollabout cart, put a monitor there. Now when I give my presentation, I can look in front of me instead of it behind me. Or maybe I just want to extend my signal to the back of the room. Or maybe I want them as both encoders. Or maybe I want dual monitors, and I make this one a decoder. In other words, once again, everybody's always fixated in what everybody does in numbers. But that doesn't make it the best. It doesn't make it right. And that's where we're different, is we're always thinking outside the box.
Yeah, and see, that's the one thing that I love, because what I need in my spaces is flexibility, right? Because I don't know what I'm going to get asked tomorrow. So if I put something in somewhere, like you said, transceiver, when because we get this all the time, like everyone knows in higher ed, how many emails I get, oh, by the way, I need an extra screen in this room. Well, now all I got to do is have that give me power and data, and I've got an extra location. I'm not worried about what my I/O of my bigger box is. Like, you just took that entire problem out of the equation.
And that's what we try to do, is we're here to solve problems. And that's one of the things that we've always tried. People say, they always talk about products, but they never talk about what makes our company different. And what makes our company different is we do design our own products. We don't try to copy what everybody else does. We don't sit there looking at our competitors' products and saying, oh, we should do that too. We look at the problems of the industry, and we look at it and say, what are we going to do to solve that problem and make it better? So that's why we're solving problems. We're doing things different. We don't care what everybody else is doing. We care about what needs to be done by listening to people. Your buddy Chris Netto was here earlier, and he asked for something. I can't say what it is. And I said, okay, let me give it some time to think, and I think I have a solution for that problem. Nice. But this is what happens. People come to us all the time, and they're asking us to solve problems, and that's our job, is can we solve that problem, and what's the best way to solve it? And that's what we do.
I love it. I love it. And I think that's really been the issue the last couple of years, as just as a vertical, and speaking to our higher ed people, is the pandemic threw the biggest wrench in our daily lives we could ever imagine, and we have to solve it. And we're looking for people who can help us kind of work through that. So kind of a closing question then for you.
Sure.
Talk about that. If I'm a higher ed institution, I know I need to get a solution. I'm looking, I don't know what I want to put in. What is that one thing that can help me know that I'm going to have that confidence in choosing this solution?
It's a funny thing. I always say, put up or shut up. Get a demo, and we'll show you that it works. We'll show you that it's going to do what it's going to do. If you can't show it, you shouldn't be looking at it to begin with. If any manufacturer cannot show you that it's going to deliver the results that you're expecting, then you shouldn't be putting your faith or energy into it. You got to be able to mock it up and verify that it's going to do with it. Don't go by just the specs. Look, all manufacturers want to show you their best. No one comes to a show and says, let me show you my worst. They always show you their best. And so saying the best and just yeah at a show versus seeing it in real action is a very different thing. So I always tell people, put up or shut up.
Yeah.
Take it, see what it is. By the way, I do have one of the, this is your education. You got to see this thing.
All right.
This is higher ed right here. This is the IPX UC1 Ultra. Our slogan for this is it does everything. And I'm not kidding you, it does everything. This is the back of it. Think of this as a 7x4 scalar matrix with quad scalars that could do 4K 6444. It has built into it a full NUC 12th gen Intel processor up to i7 with up to a 1 terabyte hard drive inside this unit.
Oh, and I see a fan spinning, and I can't hear a thing coming out of that thing.
We designed it so it's a very low spinning fan to keep the noise down, so you can still keep it under a table if you want. So yeah, it's an air intake, and then it kind of blows it out here. Fortunately, PCs do make a little bit of heat, so we do have to vent it. So this one does have a fan. But the nice thing is the mean time between failures is over 100,000 hours. So it takes a long time before this fan would ever fail. But this thing, dual monitor out, feeds back into here, and then it's got a full bi-directional 10 gig SDVOE engine built into this as well. So this thing will not only be your PC, not only can it do 4 windows overlaying, but it can also do video wall modes, image rotation, contrast edge blending for side-by-side projectors. It can do chroma keying. It can do test pattern generation. It could do vector scope waveform analyzer.
In one box?
Yes.
And not just take the software and then decide which mode I need it in.
Yeah, it even has other cards which can do DisplayPort, USB-C that back feeds up to 100 watts of power into it. It's got USB 2.0 extension built into this. It's got let's see, 12 GSDI card on it as well. Those will follow later. This will be shipping in about 6 weeks. But yeah, it's got 10 gig ports. It's got 1 gig ports on here. It's got Wi-Fi 6 on here. Yeah. That's why we say it does everything. It's insane.
PC, who's my cameraman, are you as speechless right now as I am on that?
I can't think of anything else that it would need to have on it.
That is, wow.
Oh, by the way, we are trying to ship it with the bottle opener. And if you think I'm joking, I'm not. I actually told my guys I want a bottle opener to ship with it just for a joke. So
because it really has everything.
Yeah, that was my idea.
Because it literally has everything.
I thought it'd be funny, you know, how you put a bottle opener on it.
I love it. I love it. And so, I got speechless for a second, and it's hard to make me speechless. And I think that's what's really what I love about, ever since we met, every time I see you, and in fact, when I did, Monday, before the show floor opened, little behind the scenes, everybody, we did a little bit of walk. This box is what you're like, here, come here, look at this. Here, you can't even hear, like, you're excited about it. And you're like, look at this. This will tell me this. And I was like, I don't rarely see people get excited about their products the way you do, which means that's your blood, sweat, tears, and you're bringing something special to the market, right? And I think that's what's really awesome about it. So people who want to give it a try, tell us how they get a hold of Aurora, how they can ask you questions, how to give us all that.
Yeah, sure. So just go to auroramm.com, AURORAMM.com. And a lot of the products are up there. That new desktop one's not up there because we're really not officially showing it here. So you got a nice behind-the-scene preview of something that's about to come that we're more launching later on this year. Yeah, just try that way. I talk to anybody, so even though, yes, I'm the CEO, I still talk to everybody and anybody, but salespeople are available at sales@auroramm.com as well. But yeah, give a call, email us, we'll take care of you.
Yeah, make sure everybody, you reach out. Also, all of you know, and we heard this over and over, the HETMA conference, the #1 session was Paul sitting there and just having real conversations with us. And that's what we need. And that's why we absolutely love Aurora Multimedia. Make sure you check this stuff out. Again, we're here, we're live. If you're here on site at ISE, come stop by the booth. If you're not, reach out to the rep. Make sure you get a couple of demos. And again, now they have Marcus and Chuck with education. Get trained, learn a little bit, and know that you're going to have a quality product.
Who's in all green, by the way?
He's on all green.
He's right there.
Wait, we need a shot of Chuck.
A shot of Chuck.
Oh, it's following me. I'm just get over here, Chuck. We got to check out.
Chuck, come on.
We got to check out the Chuck Espinoza.
Talk about putting the Aurora colors into play here.
I know,
okay?
I know. But all right. We're gonna do a bonus question. Talk about the education. Like everyone knows you from a former employer, and now you're here. Talk about why you make this jump in the education and what it's going to do. Because I'm from the education vertical, to talk about that.
So one of the things that Paul talked about when we first talked about myself and Marcus coming on was getting more education, not just on product, but on technology. One of the biggest things that we run into
Watch how I just did that, huh?
is one of the biggest things we run into is people buying the boxes, but they don't necessarily know how to integrate them, or designers saying, yeah, I see you have this box, but how do I use it? And you can get one box, connect another box, and they work. But once you put it onto an infrastructure, onto an ecosystem, there's a lot more challenges coming up. The switch has to be set up a certain way. Your IT department has to be in the know, because most IT departments don't have a lot of AV knowledge. And when you start saying, I have to turn flooding off and multicast both ways, they're like, whoa, what's going on? So part of the things we want to do is bring that education in, not just on product, but technology. And Paul was super serious about it. We had a long conversations with Marcus, and it's serious enough for me to
make that jump.
And we're seeing this a lot in higher education. I'm talking to a lot more higher education technology managers that say, hey, we have this solution right now, or we've always had this type of solution, but now due to supply chain, we can't get it. How can you guys help us out? Because we have stuff, we have product, and we can utilize that same infrastructure. We can give you the things you need now. 1 gig, 10 gig for future planning. We can go fiber, we can go copper. What do you need to do? Let's talk about how we can help you do that.
I love it. It's almost like you had that prepared, but it was like a bomb. It was like a photo bomb in here. I love it. I know. Last week, how's the farm doing?
Oh, the farm's doing great. We just started fixing up the fence because we're going to get a couple of really big draft horses in the springtime. My daughter's really excited, so it's doing really well.
All right. Well, thank you guys. This was I enjoyed this. This was the best time here so far at ISE. So good to see you. Thank you so much. And Paul, again, thank you so much. And again, everyone, make sure you check out Aurora Multimedia. Talk to your sales rep. Reach out and give it a shot live from ISE.